Okay. I'll start. My name is Katie Clello, and I work here at Bunker Hill in the Internships and Career Development Office. Thank you for joining us today. Boston Children's Hospital is here to speak about the summer 2025 internships, and we're very excited to have another cohort of students that will be interning this summer in the labs. And today is a great day to learn all about the different things going on and options. So, Mike, do you want to start, or Jordan? I'm not sure how.
Sure, I can get started. So,
Okay.
first of all, Katie, it's good to see you again, Zoom on YouTube. And for everyone out in the audience, this session is really for you. So we have some slides to go through to describe the opportunities that we have for you here at Children's in terms of doing research with us. And we'll work our way through them. But if you have any questions as we go along, please feel free to just unmute and interrupt us, or just wait until the end and we can address questions then. So I'll get it started. We'll be joined soon by another of us, Angelica, and you'll see her picture in a moment. So let me start by sharing screen. Let's try this. Can everyone see this?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, great. So we're here to talk about summer research internships that are offered here at Boston Children's Hospital, specifically in the FM Kirby Neurobiology Center. Although in the future you might hear of opportunities like this coming from other departments too. But we really started the partnership with Bunker Hill here in neurobiology, and that's where we continue with our sixth class this summer. And so this is part of Bunker Hill's Learn and Earn program. So as you do your internship here, you will also earn course credit, and you'll get a wage as well. Okay, so if you have questions on the Learn and Earn side, Katie is the resident expert. And then, of course, Jordan and I can tell you more about things over on the Boston Children's side. So these are the folks who are here now. This is me over on the right-hand side. I'll just mention that to you since it's an older picture. And then Jordan is also here. He's our program coordinator. Angelica has been with the program for a few years now, and she's in another meeting, but she'll show up soon.
No, I'm here.
Oh, you are here. Hi. Okay. Never mind. Strike that from the recording. So we're all here, and we're here to tell you about what you do with us here at Children's.
Can you say if you monthly rental?
Was that a question for us, or just?
I think no. I think it was by accident.
Okay. No worries. Okay, so what are we going to talk about? So here's the overview. There are a few points here, but don't worry, it's not that long of a presentation. So we just want to tell you what the mission of our program is. Why do we have an internship program shared between Boston Children's and Bunker Hill Community College? I'll tell you a bit about our community here in the FM Kirby Neurobiology Center. And then I'll mention some scientific questions that you could pursue with us if you were to join us here. And then we'll move into an overview of the summer internship program. What are the components of it? This is where Angelica will take over. We'll tell you about scientific and career skills that you could develop by working with us. And then we'll have more of a nuts and bolts discussion of how to apply, and then just open it up to questions and discussion. So if I can advance. Yes, so what's up with this internship program? So our goal is to introduce talented and highly motivated students to science. That would be you. And we prioritize individuals with curiosity and drive. I just want to be clear, and we'll mention it again, that prior experience in scientific research is not required. We all started in science at some point with no prior knowledge, just with curiosity. And so we encourage those of you who are curious about how things work, and if you have a wonder about the natural world or about a disease, how do you follow through on that and actually learn something about it and possibly work towards a cure? So it just starts with that curiosity and that desire. So that's what we're looking for is individuals with that. Okay, so the next point, what do we anticipate? We anticipate that by coming here and working with us, you'll bring your distinct perspectives to our research program, possibly new perspectives as well. So that can actually drive our research, make it more creative, make it more innovative. And so we're looking for people who are coming with intellectual engagement. We're not looking for people who are experienced, as I mentioned before. It's just if you ask questions that can get us to think in certain ways and maybe make new findings. And then you enrich our science. What do we give to you? We'll train you in how to do science, scientific research, and we'll give you some career skills too. And you'll have the opportunities to work in real labs on real projects with practicing scientists. And that could easily lead to making real discoveries. So we want to broaden the pipeline into science. We like the idea that Bunker Hill is right next door. We're so accustomed here of to recruiting nationwide for people to come and work with us in our labs. We want to make more connections with the local community, get to know you. Maybe you can tell the people you know here about what you've done, and we can build ties with Bunker Hill that way. So this is an old picture, but this gives you a sense of our faculty. So this was actually a faculty retreat that was at the Museum of Science a few years ago, and it just shows a group of us. There are more than 25 faculty now in the FM Kirby Neurobiology Center. We do basic science, which means just trying to figure out how things work. If you see something and you wonder, what is that and how does it function? That's basic research. And then there's also translational research, which is taking established knowledge or developing new knowledge with the express goal of benefiting health, taking it into the clinic. So many of us are PhDs, so we do basic science, and then many are also MD PhDs, physician scientists who do both and take care of patients as well. So all of the faculty here have faculty appointments at Harvard Medical School, and our labs are based at Boston Children's Hospital. So those are the lab heads. You'll hear them referred to as principal investigators or PIs. This is just a few examples of people who are here. We have hundreds of folks working in neurobiology, undergraduates, post-baccalaureate students who are working here as research assistants, PhD students, master's students, postdoctoral fellows, staff scientists, all kinds of folks are working here. And I've just listed the names below of some people who have volunteered in the past to work directly and daily with an intern from Bunker Hill Community College. So lots of people come forth, volunteer, and are excited to work with you and to introduce you to research. Here's the culmination of the 10-week internship, which is a poster session. So this is where the interns present their work. This is Michaela Faggiolini, who co-directs the program with me. Angelica is here, and then in between are the interns of 2020. Whoops, it says, yeah, 2024, just say at the top. I was thinking ahead to you folks out there when I was editing the slide this morning. So this is in June, at the end of the 10-week period. Everyone gets together, presents the work. Family and friends often come, invite folks from Bunker Hill and from Children's in the greater Harvard neuroscience community. So it's a celebratory session. There's just, maybe you'll recognize a few faces from classmates in this picture. These are all the interns that have come through so far. So Katie, Suman, and I were chatting at the beginning, and we were saying, wow, it's been several years already. So we started in the fall of 2021 with 5 interns. We did it again that spring, and then we transitioned to a summer-only program. And last year we had many interns join us. One of the things that we're proud of is that many people have elected to stay on longer term in the labs. So about roughly half so far, I think, have actually been hired into their labs longer term. So after the summer research period is over, they stick around, continue on with their science. So I think that's really wonderful. It means that we can find good fits between you and our labs here. And the double blue asterisks are for people who are still here, including one, Jason Saturno, whom I remember talking to for our very first internship class. And you can also see, the variety of labs that are represented that have taken interns in the past. Of those who didn't stay on, of course, Bunker Hill is a 2-year. Many of these folks have gone on to 4-year colleges, a few to UMass Amherst, which we're proud of, see if I can find Zara, I think has gone to UMass Amherst. Melissa Rowe, just above Zara, she went to Columbia. So we still keep in touch with her and see how she's using the knowledge that she learned here. Okay, so what about Boston Children's Hospital? Who are we? We are, the hospital is happy to remind us that it's the top-ranked children's hospital in the nation. We get a lot of funding to do research. We are the premier research institution based at a children's hospital, and we are the pediatric teaching hospital of Harvard Medical School. So pediatricians who train there come here to learn. We are embedded within a much larger area, the Longwood Medical area, which you may be familiar with. It's easily accessible by T. You can see 2 T lines here, D and E. And so just next door, and sort of intermingled with us too, are Beth Israel Deaconess Medical Center, Brigham Women's Hospital, the Dana-Farber Cancer Institute, the School of Dental Medicine, the School of Public Health, Joslin Diabetes Center. So we interact very closely with all of these folks, and we have strong ties to Harvard Medical School too. So many of us teach classes at Harvard Medical School. Many of us go across the river too to teach in Cambridge, teach undergraduates if in particular courses. So if you were to come here, you'd be based at the Children's Hospital, but you'd have interactions potentially with all of these institutions. So you can mix with hundreds of labs in the Longwood Medical area. You can work and interact with leaders of their fields. It's not uncommon to see one of our colleagues on a stage with a bright spotlight or coming back from foreign nations, having been invited out to talk about their work. So they're just here. You can find them at the lunch table and have a chat. You can learn cutting edge science and technology, develop valuable professional skills, identify new career opportunities. So science, we can stay on in academic research, but there are many doors that open from research into fields like publishing, for instance. And if you continue on in research, it could be academic research, or it could be industry research at places like Biogen. So many career opportunities become available with a basis in research. And then most, selfishly, you can come and invigorate our scientific community with questions, your questions, your perspectives, and your particular efforts. And you can pursue your curiosity to obtain new knowledge. That, of course, the ultimate goal, in addition to understanding the world, is to improve human health. Okay, so in terms of improving human health, we do have a worldwide network that we're plugged into. So for a number of years now, we've been funded and supported by the International Brain Research Organization, or IBRO. So coming here and working with us, you also have access to this international organization that promotes neuroscience. Okay, so here's just a sample of our research questions. I just threw a bunch of stuff on here. I'm not going to go through every single one, but you can imagine that neuroscience, the nervous system, is extremely complex. It's the origin of our motivation. So where does that come from? If there's damage, how does it heal? Where does our thinking come from, given the biological substrate of the brain? What's the basis of biological and artificial intelligence? How does this complex structure develop? You name a question, and chances are there's someone here studying it. So if you're watching this on video, you can pause here and read these. Also consider going to our website, kirbyneuro.org, and you can see descriptions of research and also lab heads, lab members, and get a better sense of our community there. Okay, so I can just give a few details. So it's a full-time internship program. It's 10 weeks, June to August. It's in person here in the Longwood Medical area. If you're in person, you can actually use the equipment that we have around. We'll start with a boot camp. This is something that Angelica will tell you more about. And then the primary pursuit really is to be immersed in a lab doing research for the remaining 9 weeks. So you'll have a designated in-lab mentor, someone who's just your go-to day to day. This is someone who is very good at what they do and also dedicated to mentorship. And then the principal investigator, the lab head, is also around to interact with you and give higher level guidance. I mentioned before, you'll be part of this Learn and Earn program. So you'll get credit and you will earn a wage as well. And then we have, after the boot camp, which is more intensive, it's a weekly workshop that targets specific scientific skills or career skills. This also brings the interns together and brings them together with our volunteers in the program. And then there's that poster session at the end. Okay, so we're hoping to bring aboard half a dozen folks this summer. A lot of it depends on how much interest there is. Please, if you have any spark of interest at all, consider applying to us, and then we're arranging funding for this. Okay, so Angelica, should I turn it over to you?
Yeah. Thank you, Mike.
Just let me know when you advance slides, and I'll do
you can go to the next one. So as Mike mentioned, I'm going to talk quickly about the bootcamp and the workshop that will be available for all the interns. Just to give an idea of like how an academic lab is structured, here is a fun chart. We have, of course, the director of the department, which for QB is Dr. Wolf, and then you will meet PIs, for example, Mike, and admin staff like Jordan. And then when you actually get like immersed into the lab environment, you will see lab managers, staff scientists. I'm actually there twice because those are my two roles. And then Sinduja is going to be another one of the program coordinators that you will be interacting with, and she's currently a postdoctoral fellow. But then in the lab, you can also meet graduate students, undergrads, research assistant, like full-time technicians, and so on. And of course, we welcome interns, especially during the summer. The video is kind of fun if we want to play, but I don't know if the link will work. It's just a little like kind of like video game dramatization of the roles. Everyone definitely has a different role, and like, but everyone has an important role at the end. We can go to the next slide.
Thanks for including the PI in that.
Go next. So as Mark anticipated, the first week of the internship will be focused on a boot camp for the interns to be, all on the same page on like neurology world. So you will basically be exposed to specific classes, usually 1 to 2 hours, where you can learn more about specific topics like cellular biology, iPSCs, microscopy, or RNA computational biology, or something more practical in vivo work, maybe demo in the labs, depending on again on space and availability and so on. But what we want to do with this is basically provide a full immersion to the interns into the academic research world. And of course, you're always welcome to give us feedback throughout the bootcamp at the end, so that we can actually improve and make this even more, tailored for the current needs. And you, alongside the bootcamp, during the first week, you will also have to attend some onboarding meetings with HR and like some safety trainings that are required to work at Boston Children's Hospital. Next, please. So usually on the first day, we try to have a meet and greet where you can meet with your lab mentor, other lab members, the PIs. So we usually try to organize something a little fun to break through all the meetings that you will be attending. And here just some example of like what I just mentioned. You will be attending intro session, and every Friday we will have a workshop instead that is followed by what we call here the QB Happy Hour. So it's going to give an opportunity to actually network with other QB members, either, students, PIs, postdoc, and expand your network. Next, please. This is just one example. One of the classes in the past was an intro to well lab. So during these classes, we went over lab standard procedures and basic research items that you need, and basic molecular or cellular techniques that you might encounter in a lab. Just for example, basic one, what is a PCR? So we explain what it is a PCR, and then the difference between tissue culture work versus animal work, and so on. Next, please. These are again other just topics that you most likely will be exposed to. We have different cores here at Boston Children's Hospital, and a lot of them have been willing to give a little seminars to our interns in the past. And classes were focused on either gene discovery, computational biology, microscopy, in vitro model, animal modeling, and so on. Next. As I mentioned before, every Friday there's going to be a weekly workshop. These we've been encouraging people to attend them, so they are mandatory. They are not unless something bigger comes up, but it is a good way for interns to actually be exposed to networking with other either peers or PIs, industry members, or get knowledge on how to make your poster or how to make a presentation, how to go through a paper, to journal club sessions and so on. These are mostly what the workshops have been in the past, at least 3 to 4 journal clubs where a paper is picked and then is discussed together as a group, and then interns are assigned a portion or a figure to talk together and explain to the others. Another very popular workshop has been the career in STEM, where we usually have had either PIs, industry members, or people that actually got a degree in science and then ended up doing actually something completely different with it at the end, and they shared their experience with the interns. And then there's also science communication, so how to make your poster, or what is resilience in science, and so on. So these are always good opportunity, to learn and actually, get questions out there. Next, please. This is just actually poster a session from last year, the first 2 pictures, and the one on the bottom is from the year before. And our interns were proudly presenting their work to the QB department. So it's a 2-hour session, usually 2 to 3 hours, where people can come in, ask questions about your work, and you can explain what you've done throughout the summer. And as Mac also already anticipated before, family and friends are invited to come as well. Next. And I think Mike, I don't know if you want to go there. You want me?
Sure. Thanks, Angelica. So in terms of our next steps, we'll follow up with an email so that if you didn't catch all the details here, or if there are other things that we neglected to mention, you can go through that material. Please, as I mentioned before, have a look at kirbyneuro.org, our website that features our labs and our community and the research that we're doing here. Turns out that Bunker Hill students have a wealth of internship opportunities. Please consider ours carefully. We would love to have you come and work with us. And then in terms of, if you want to apply, then this month is the time to submit your applications to Katie Colello. Katie can tell you more about that process if you like. So what we anticipate is that we'll go through screening interviews between applicants and human resources here at Boston Children's Hospital in the first half of March. So not too far away, just several weeks away. We communicate by email, so just check them for interview invitations, respond quickly so we can arrange all these meetings. It's a lot of moving parts to get applicants together with the various lab members. So it's the faster we can move, the sooner we can tell you if you have an opportunity with us, and then we can start preparing to host you. The interviews, they'll come the latter half of March. Those are like interviews with labs and lab members, and then the offer should come out in the first week of April. So again, please check your email for that. The exact dates for our program this year, we anticipate to be from June 9th to August 15th. August 15th would be that poster session. Okay, and so we can only take a certain number of people into our program, but that doesn't mean that if for some reason you don't manage to secure a slot in our program, you can still come and work with us here. So Kirby Labs can hire interns directly. If you're really interested in a lab and you really would like to come and do research, say in the summer or any other time, just shoot them an email. And as long as the email explains to them, who you are, why you're emailing them specifically, what your interest is, chances are they'll respond. And if you need, those of us who are involved in the program can also help to connect you with labs that we know are hiring in Kirby and also kind of in our greater scientific community. Okay, resume guidelines. I don't know if we want to go through all of these points in detail, but they do give some guidance. We'll have this session recorded, so please go back and refer to it. We can also send this out so you can examine it at your leisure. Really, the most important thing is in blue there. So if you have little or no prior scientific experience, just don't be discouraged from applying. We're really trying to bring new folks in to do science. Okay. And we have a whole Department of Workforce Development here, so you can also email them for information. That is the conclusion of our official presentation. And at this point, we are very happy to take any questions you may have, whatever they may be. So let me stop sharing here. Maybe we'll get a chance to see some of you. You can tell that I'm much more of a Zoom person than the next person.
Katie, can I make a comment for the students?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so as a STEM representative from Bunker Hill, students like, as you know, Katie Colello is the point of contact and will manage all the communication and application. But as Dr. Doe mentioned that it's all about motivation and interest. You may have thinking, oh, I'll go to Boston Children's Hospital, Harvard Medical School lab, what I should know, what classes I should take, any technique. Yes, it is important, but you can think about your interest, your passion. If you like to do research, if you like to know, you are curious about STEM, this is your opportunity. So it's not really right what you know. You will know. That's their job, as you mentioned, to teach you, to guide you. The ambience is different than a college you come to. This is a different environment. It's a research and innovation environment. Thank you.
Yeah, that's exactly right. We're all teachers here. We love to teach and mentor. So come and learn with us. Don't feel like you need to prepare. Right, we'll prepare you and provide all the necessary knowledge and skills for you to pursue your interest in our laboratories. So we have a question in chat from Raymond Chai. Would students from BHCC who work under the Kirby Lab have a chance to be part of any publications? Yes. So, we communicate our science primarily by publishing papers, and if you make a meaningful contribution to a paper, then authorship is a possibility. So every lab has its own approach to authorship. Many research projects take a very long time, and a lot of work among a lot of people before they get to the point of being published. Our last paper, the last paper from my lab was published in 2023. That work started in 2012. So I can't, there's no guarantee, but every once in a while, there's a project that's coming to a close and then someone comes in. Yes, wow. So then someone comes in at the right moment and then makes a contribution, and then they're part of that publication. So, it varies a lot from lab to lab, but yes, absolutely. What we have is our reputation as scientists, and that comes out of giving one another credit for their contributions. So, yeah. Would you recommend this to students who don't have a major in the science or medical area? Yes. Yes, maybe if we're very successful, we can convince you to pursue a major in science. But really, we don't have as a requirement a particular major or set of majors. If you're curious about science and you come and you're dedicated and you do it with us for the 10 weeks, and then you take that experience and bring it into other walks of life, that's very meaningful for science in general, right? So people who are not science majors, but who go on to write or to do policy in a way that is deeply acquainted with science only helps our enterprise. Angelica, do you want to take any of these? They might get tired of my voice.
Sure, I can go to the next one. Hi, thank you for providing us with this info. I know this is an internship for the summer, but would PCH ever consider accepting interns part-time during school semesters? I love to take part in this and try to apply, but this summer is going to be busy for me. So as Mike mentioned before, you are always welcome to shoot an email to the lab that interests you and ask for any possible internship. If you can accrue credit for this even during the school semester, that is definitely going to be a yes. Otherwise, you will need to talk to the lab and see if they have funds to support you, unless you're coming as a first-time intern, like with no absolute experience in research whatsoever. And in that case, you will be able to at least volunteer in the lab for 2 to 3 months and at least get a sense of what's happening. Of course.
Should note that as part of our program, we do offer some funds for commuting if you're coming in from anywhere, really. We'll just help you get
here.
Yeah,
Xavier and Malcolm raised hand.
to send Cube's email contact through this chat, please. The website.
Thanks.
And yeah, also to add to the question before about, someone that does not have a major in science or medical area, we do not require that you have already experience in science in lab. So everyone is encouraged, and welcome to apply. If you do have some experience, that's a plus. But if you don't, that does not immediately mean like that you won't be considered.
There's a question about whether the program is available for international students. We are limited to citizens and permanent residents because that guarantees that you will have work permissions. If it's an outreach program, so it's unfortunate that these work permissions, these visas, are so up in the air oftentimes. But for the moment, we're encouraging citizens and permanent residents to apply.
And I'll just jump into, if there are any international students on an F1 visa, come talk to me. We'll talk about other options. So
yeah, someone just added a comment on this as well.
Yeah, we've worked really hard to try to get people their missions just in time, and then we just have to wait in the bureaucratic line.
Yeah.
So I had like days of dreams of just being like wrapped in red tape. So
I believe I got a quick question.
yeah, welcome.
So is this like a Monday through Friday thing over the summer?
Monday through Friday over the summer. Yeah, so June to August, 40 hours a week.
No, I was asking
Oh,
because I'm going to be taking classes in the summer semester.
yeah. How many hours a day?
8 hours a day.
Yeah, you will always have to be working with someone like in the lab. No after hours and no weekends will be allowed for the interns. Does the QB lab have dry lab work as well? There are some labs that just do computational, but mostly a lot of labs have wet part, like we actually do experiments hands-on, either with animal, with cell cultures. But yeah, mostly it's wet lab.
Yeah. There are also, I mean, within wet labs, there are dry lab projects oftentimes. So my lab, for instance, we generate massive data sets like several other labs here do, and so we rely on some computational biology and mathematics to help us make sense of that.
So would you say like this program is good for people that plan on eventually applying to medical school?
I would say absolutely yes.
Perfect.
Other questions? What time would our everyday schedule look like? Every lab is a little bit different, but typically it's a 9 to 5 for our interns.
Yeah, you're always
Yeah.
welcome to chat, yeah, with your mentor and see, if your mentor is someone that instead comes to work like 10 to 6, you might be able to do that. Or if someone that comes earlier, you might be able to come in earlier. Like, I feel like we are very flexible, and when it's, when it comes to science.
Also, like scientists eat lunch, we have coffee, so that's a part of the day too. This is our one and only interns, our one and only info session. As much as we love being here, you can. This is recorded, so if there's something that you missed, please look it over again, or reach out to us and we can clarify details. In terms of how many interns do we need, I mean, we would love to take everyone who's interested. I mean, the work that we do is really quite endless. This is our passion for mentorship. So we'll take as many as we can afford. So we're fundraising now. Would it be a plus to add programming skills too? Yes, programming is now part and parcel of much of what we do. Not everyone does it, but a lot of us do it. For our PhD program in neuroscience, that starts with a boot camp, and part of that boot camp is an introduction to programming. So it used to be MATLAB, nowadays it's Python. Programming, statistical techniques, those things are just generally useful. How to apply? Please talk to Katie. She'll get you started.
Yeah, so on Handshake, you can apply. And if you haven't been on Handshake, just email me. I'll put my email in the chat as well. Because basically what we'll do, your resume you'll upload your resume on Handshake. It'll all come to me. I'll work with you and make sure you're all ready. And then the resumes will be sent over to Boston Children's. So definitely be in contact with me and I can help you along the way. And if you are called for an interview and everything, we can do a mock interview and practice beforehand just to make sure everyone's all ready to go and take away the nerves. You don't have to be nervous.
Yeah, don't be nervous.
Yeah.
What qualifies someone to be able to attend? So, are you interested in doing science? Why are you interested in it? If you can explain that and make a compelling case for that in your written application, which Katie and Suman can help you with. If you can just demonstrate that you're curious and you're driven, then that's really all we're looking for. So in the interview, just if you do have a chance to sit down and interview with us, tell us about where you're coming from, where you want to go, and how science plays a role in that, and take it from there. Will you both be the direct person we will report to, or will we just oversee everything, and then will we be the people interviewing you? Angelica, your lab is hosting an intern this year.
No, we are not this year, but like the way that it works, and then you can correct me if I'm wrong. You will get an interview with HR, and then after that, if you pass the HR first interview, then your application will be sent to the lab, and the lab then will schedule an interview with you, and usually you would be talking to your mentor at that point, and like hear what the project will look like. So usually it's actually more than one lab that you might be interviewing with, and then labs will communicate with us and tell us their preference if they have any, and then offer letters will be made once the lab has made the decision.
Yeah, so Angelica
You
and
will
I
be
will-
interacting with. No, I was gonna say you would be just interacting with us, so with me, Jordan, Mike, when it comes to program specific info, either for the bootcamp or if there's any other major issue like feedback and all of that.
Yeah, so the pre-interview with human resources is relatively brief. It's a kind of get to know you interview. Are you applying to the program for the right reasons? Do you meet our minimum qualifications of, say, having the work permissions to come here and work with us? And then on the strength of that interview, they will also be able to do a background check and just routine background check, and then also reach out to references that you list in your application. And then based on the pre-screening reports, then we'll make arrangements for you to talk to the labs. So typically each lab will interview several potential interns, and each intern will interview with several potential labs. And because we're on a relatively short schedule, it seems like June is far away, but in terms of how these gears turn, it'll be here like before we know it. So we'll take the list of labs and their thoughts, and the list of interns and their thoughts, and then make a match. Our first semester, every lab got their first pick of intern, and every intern got their first pick of lab. We can't guarantee that, but we always try to find a good fit. Let's see, where are we? Are there any opportunities that are outside the 9 to 5, like an afternoon shift, night shift? So HR is pretty strict about this. There are certain hours that we just can't accommodate it. If somehow in the future, and I've been told this future will never come, but if somehow in the future we're able to pay a stipend instead of an hourly wage, then there will be a lot more flexibility. And science does happen at odd hours, but for now it's pretty much like the standard workday with a little bit of fuzziness around the edges. So unfortunately, it's a bit inflexible. So you might see a postdoc who's waking up after a long night of experiments on a lab bench, but fortunately or unfortunately,
More for interns.
You'll be coming in after having a good night. Let's see. Is everyone getting paid the same amount? No, not really. So our wage changes just depending on whether you're a freshman or a sophomore. So that there's no real wiggle room there. It's just the more senior you are, the more you tend to get paid. You mentioned an introduction to Python being involved. I was wondering if the internship had any other aspects that were a bit technology based. So sorry, I mentioned Python being a part of the boot camp for our neuroscience PhD students. So I don't think that we have a programming aspect to this particular boot camp because that can be pretty involved. In terms of technical things, we use so much technology in our research. You know, depending on the lab you go to, you'll learn the technical aspects that are required. And if it's a more dry lab experience, then of course that extends into theory and math and computation. If it's a wet lab, then it could be, you know, a confocal microscope or a two-photon microscope or a PCR machine or a mass spectrometer, you know, you name it. Any STEM-related topics and science-related question you may have for any lab you're interested in? Oh, that's not a question, Suman. All right. Any questions?
I mean, I love to talk about science. I don't get chance. When students come, what is this lab all about? And I get interested and talk about the subject. And yeah, that's all.
Yeah. And the research that we do in my lab, it started with an observation made by Chuck Seisler, who's at the Brigham and Women's Hospital here, where he was studying these individuals that are blind, so they don't have any conscious visual perception. But for some reason, if you give them light, even though they don't see it, that light can suppress their melatonin level, right, this hormone that accompanies sleep. And then light can also allow them to wake up and go to sleep according to the sunrise and the sunset, even though they're not aware of it at all. And so, you know, Chuck wondered, what is going on? Like, how can they sense light for physiology, even though it's subconscious, that they don't actually see anything? And so that led to the field that we work in now. And in fact, it was a mystery for a long time. You know, what is it? And it requires the eyes. If you blindfold them, then light has no effect anymore on their melatonin or their circadian rhythms. So it's in the eyes, but like what in the eyes? And so I'm just filling up. I'm just trying to get some questions stirred up here. So it turns out that no one could find what was in the eye that was sensing light in these people who were otherwise blind, until this person named Iggy Provencio was studying the frog. And there are these frogs where if you put them in light, their skin gets darker. And he thought, I wonder how that happens. And so he found a molecule in the frog skin that senses light to make them darker. And that molecule, it turns out, was also found in the human eye in these cells that wire into centers of the brain that control melatonin and the circadian rhythm. So now there's a whole field that studies these cells and how they sense light for regulating physiology in ways that are subconscious. So it's just stuff like that. It's like, hey, there's this, you know, this blind individual who, you know, just wakes up and goes to sleep at the same time I do. I wonder how that happens. And then a whole field can come out. Thanks to this person at gmail.com who likes their research. Well, we do different kinds of labs in this internships. One lab, 10 weeks is not a whole lot of time, so we go for depth rather than breadth, but then we give you a little bit of breadth through the workshops where you're exposed to various techniques. And then through interactions with people here, including other interns, then you get a sense of what other labs are up to. But it's one lab, 10 weeks. Eight minutes left. Any questions? Jordan's been quiet. Are you curious about Jordan, what he does? You can ask him a question too.
I'm the non-scientific person involved here. My background is in French and Spanish. So my name is Jordan. I'm the program coordinator for this at Boston Children's at the Kirby Neurobiology Center. And basically, I'll be your sort of admin contact in case you have any questions related to logistics, or if you're confused about something, or if you need help with something. Feel free to email me as well as Mike and Angelica if you have questions. I receive a lot less emails than Mike, so I might be able to get back to you faster. Though Mike is pretty fast. So I'm always glad to help in whatever way is possible.
Thanks, Jordan. Yeah, we wouldn't be able to do it without Jordan. He has a PhD in French, right? So
Wow.
just asking questions so you can hear him talk. Great. Okay, silly question, but is the light thing at all related to the way that plants sense light? Not, I mean, like at a chemical, like a physical chemical level where you take a photon, like a particle of light, and turn that into a biological signal, yes. But in terms of the molecules and whether they have any evolutionary connection, no. No, we don't think so. Plants have marvelous ways of sensing light. They use things called phytochromes, for instance, unrelated to the protein that Iggy found in the frog skin that is now known to be in our own eyes. But good question. There's a little protein part in the molecules that sense light from plants called the love domain. You can Google that and see what that's like. How would one find additional opportunities for similar work? Browse the websites. If you're interested in neuroscience, a good place to start is the Harvard Brain Science Initiative. So that encompasses labs at Boston Children's, at the Harvard Medical School, at the BI, at the Brigham, Harvard University. You can pretty much find any lab there and just get comfortable with cold emails. They can be cold as long as they're directed and intentional. The chance of getting a response, goes on. Vaccines, yes. COVID vaccine, flu vaccine, those are required. And then standard ones that most of us get as kids. Parking spaces. I wish I had access to a parking space. Yeah, you can, but it's expensive. So I walk. Yeah, Malcolm.
What would you say? I know you just listed the neurology research, but what would you say would be like the best ways to after this program to be like to on research-based technology, or like research-based stuff of her and stuff.
How would you continue on research even after the program?
Yeah, like if you could find other parts, like not just neurology, like for example, like cardiology.
Oh yeah. Yeah, so in terms of other subjects, we have a cardiology department here at Children's, and I would say let's see, a good place to look if you're interested in biology, like all kinds of different biology. There's a PhD program here at Harvard called BBS, Biological and Biomedical Sciences, and that has hundreds of faculty in all different kinds of areas. So if you just go there, you can see just a wealth of labs doing things like cardiology, virology, immunology.
You said it's called BMS?
BBS.
BBS, okay.
Yes, yeah. Biological and Biomedical Sciences. Michael, what is the end result of what you're trying to accomplish in your lab? We're curious about stuff, and so we're trying to understand like what it is and how it works primarily. But the things that we study will have practical benefits too. So for instance, we all are exposed to light, including artificial light at night, which can suppress melatonin, dysregulate circadian rhythms, cause all sorts of health issues. Now, we could say, try to limit your exposure to light at night, but even as I'm saying that, and I know that it's excellent advice, I'm reading my cell phone or like watching Netflix or something at night. So I know that human nature only goes so far. But by understanding how light is sensed by the particular molecules and cells in the eye, we can design light so that even though you can continue to read whatever you're reading or watching whatever you're watching, the way that that light is configured coming out of your phone or your screen, it looks good, but it may not reach in and turn the gears of your physiology like the current light does. So, we're motivated, like many of us here. People in my lab are motivated by basic curiosity, but I consult with the Department of Energy pretty much every month because they're interested in making light that's healthier, more economical, and more effective. I've consulted for NASA on lighting in their orbital missions. I've consulted for the National Academies of Science because they're interested in why is like everyone nearsighted these days. I think in a few years, everyone in China will have severe myopia. So what's up with that? And so light, is one thing that promotes eye growth and even aberrant eye growth. And so we're trying to understand how that happens. So that's just one example. You're welcome. We got 2 more minutes. Any more burning questions?
I'm sorry. It's the BBS is the Boston Children's Hospital program for.
Let me type it. Actually, let me dig up.
Yeah, thank you.
Let's see.
I'm just going to put a plug when you do that. I know our time is almost up, but thank you all for joining, and I hope that you do end up applying. And reach out to me. Again, I'm Katie here at Bunker Hill, and so, just to go over everything and make sure it fits into your schedule, that you think this summer's the one for you, and we can just kind of go over all the basics.
Yeah, and we look forward to seeing you. If not this time, then the next time.
Yeah, so many students joined today. Yeah, it's amazing. And we talk almost everything, right? Science to administration.
Well, Katie, it's good to see you. Simon, good to see you again.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thanks everyone for joining us today.
Thank you for joining.
Thank you.
All
Well,
right.
Mike and Jordan, I'll be in touch and, just about the timing and everything, but this was great. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks so much, Katie, for all your work.